Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Black for Unapologetic, a podcast where we talk about real shit and soft shit and sharp shit and stuff we never had space to say out loud growing up. Today's episode is titled "And Performing for What?" This one is about performance, and I'm not talking about stage performance, but I'm talking about life performance. The curated, edited, hyper aware way we show up at work, on social media, in friendships and dating, in our own bodies. And I want to walk you through how I got here and how I'm starting to walk myself out of it. Let's get into it.
Hey, black, queer, unapologetic. Black, queer, unapologetic. I know who I am, now you know what I'm about. I say the thoughts in my head out loud. Let's get into it, let's pick up the flow though. Brought to you by the one they call JoJo. Black, queer, unapologetic. Black, queer, unapologetic. Let's go.
Okay. So let's start with work. Corporate life, hustle culture, capitalism, side hustles, whatever you're doing as far as work goes. There's a 40-hour work week for a full-time job, assuming you don't work more than 40 hours a week. Based on those 40 hours a week and between work and sleep, 57% of your week is gone. We spend about 24% of our week at work. We spend about another 30 to 35% asleep. So it makes sense that we put a lot of time and energy into what we do for work and professions. I've spent a lot of years climbing that ladder, not with a college degree, not with a roadmap, but with talent, discipline, the desire to learn and ability to make people comfortable, especially white people, which I don't know why that was my go-to when I was younger of like, okay, I can get in this door if I can disarm the white people. Same thing with straight people, being the gay black person. Okay, let me disarm these straight people so they don't see me as a threat. They don't see me as a liability. And I'm going to be honest, I got really good at it. It was impressive. Just kind of sad in a way, but it was also very polished. I played it safe. I was performing excellence to their standards, but I was also performing acceptability. Because when you're black, and especially black and queer in corporate America, excellence alone is not enough. I talked about that episode when I got fired and what happened with that. But when you are a double minority, triple minority, whatever it is, you have to be excellent and likable, strong and non-threatening, visible and invisible at the same time. They have these standards that are unspoken but expected. And I can't remember how old I was, but it was like in my mid 20s or so. I had a white man ask me, came into my job, how did I escape the urban jungle? I was managing a Starbucks at the time, and instead of going off on the man like I wanted to, because it really got under my skin, I wanted to keep my image intact, so I just kept it together. And that's what we do. We make ourselves small to keep status, to keep the image, go along, get along, don't say anything. But at what cost? We start thinking that being respected means being less of ourselves, that if we're silly or loud or vulnerable, we'll lose the seat at the table. So we fold ourselves up, shrink ourselves down. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the more you forget who you really are. The performance doesn't stop at work though. We spend like I said, over 50% of our time either asleep or at work. So it does follow you. And you start chasing titles and money and attention, status, the look of having it together. You tell yourself that success will unlock freedom or peace or confidence. And most of the time, it just builds a higher stage with brighter lights. We post wins, the highlight reel. We talk strategy. We curate an image of the Black person who made it, or the Asian person, or the Latino person, or the woman, or the queer person. But behind the scenes, we're exhausted, burnt out, alone. We're too scared to show softness or ask for help or just rest because rest doesn't look successful, because being silly doesn't look strategic. And joy, real joy, often doesn't fit the curated image that we've created. Everyone has their own story, but for me, this performance started way before the workplace. I was a queer kid in the 90s, and let me tell you, it was a different world than it is now. There was no safety in being fully yourself. Being gay wasn't just taboo, it was dangerous. I was also an athlete, queer and athletic, and that combination confused a lot of people. I remember my college coach stopped playing me because I was queer. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear. I was being punished for something that I couldn't change and something that also had nothing to do with him. So I got good at performing and hiding it. When I was in the military, I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell for the first 2 years. And I had to hide that. Hiding in plain sight and showing just enough to be personable, but not enough to be threatening. I leaned into masculinity and strength, into silence. These were all survival tactics, all performances. And those habits don't disappear. They follow you into adulthood, into the office, into friendships, into your dating life, even your relationship with yourself. And at some point, you start to ask yourself, who am I really without all the external noise? And fast forward to now, we've traded those metaphorical closet for Instagram filters. And, things might not necessarily be how they were in the 90s and early to mid 2000s anymore when it comes to queer people and Black people and other minorities. But the challenge is still the same. I had a friend say to me recently, you're a silly person. Why won't you allow yourself to be silly? You don't post that version. You don't smile. And that hit me really hard. I was like, damn, like you see me as I really am, and I don't allow other people to see that version of me. And it was true. I curate. I post the polished photos when I do post. I haven't posted in a long time. But it's mostly the serious pictures, the posed pictures, the strong looking ones, the together ones, the marketable ones, if you will. And yet I am a goofy ass person. I like to have fun. I make the jokes. I like to dance. I like to laugh. But I've learned to tuck that away even when I'm alone. And that's when I realized I wasn't just curating my feed, I was curating myself. And I didn't even notice it anymore. And that's pretty sad. But here's the truth, at least what I'm learning. I'm capable of being goofy and sexy and smart and successful and silly all at the same time. I am capable of being gay and athletic and all of those other things at the same time. I'm disciplined and chaotic in the best ways. But this world doesn't make space for that. If you're seen as smart, you're expected to be buttoned up. If you're seen as fun, you're not taken seriously. If you're Black and thriving, people assume that you either had a handout or you're a token or I don't know, you have some type of unexplainable backstory that got you to where you are. Especially if you have a non-traditional education or you don't have the credentials that they expect you to have. Especially if you're unapologetic about who you are, where you came from, and where you're going. And that's the problem. We've been conditioned to believe we have to choose power or peace, truth or success, joy or respect. I remember there was a question that somebody asked me very early in my career, and it was, would you prefer to be liked or feared? And the answer was that you would like to be respected. But why do you have to pick being liked or feared or respected? I found that very interesting as I got older, is that you can't be liked and respect. You can't be respected and feared. Only can be one. And that's a lie. You don't have to choose. And I'm done choosing. Are you? Some of this stuff might sound very familiar for folks, but let's talk about imposter syndrome next, because I feel like a lot of this has to do with that. People ask me all the time, why do you hold yourself back? They can tell that I am. And the truth is, it's conditioning. It's the fear of making a mistake, the fear of being judged, fear of not being taken seriously, fear of not being accepted as who you really are, fear of being seen and rejected for it. Imposter syndrome doesn't always sound like I'm not good enough or I'm not qualified. Sometimes it sounds like, if I post this, will they think I'm a professional? If I wear this, will they still respect me? If I show them I'm soft, will they think I'm weak? That's all performance. That's all survival mode. And that's exhausting. Here's what I learned. We don't have to abandon ourselves to be successful. We do not have to trade authenticity for someone's approval. The moment you start showing up as your full self, the silly, the smart, the soft, the sexy, the spiritual, the strange, sacred version of you, that's when you start living, regardless of what somebody else's opinion is. But how do you get back to being your true self after all of this conditioning and all of this routine of living for other people's opinions and versions and interests in you? You got to start slow. You notice when you're shrinking, you ask yourself, am I doing this for me? Is this who I really am? Or is this someone's perception of me? You post the picture where you're laughing, you say no to things that don't feel right. You start to tell the truth more often, the raw, authentic truth, not some watered down version, even if it shakes people a little. You stop trying to prove your worth and you start believing in it. Stop trying to prove yourself to people. Whether people see you or not, it doesn't change who you are. Their opinions hold no currency. Being your full, true, authentic self, that's the real currency. That's where you're going to find your happiness. That's where you're going to find fulfillment. I don't ask for respect anymore. I command it. I don't ask to be seen anymore. I show up and either you see me or you don't. I no longer perform for survival, and I'm starting to live in my joy a lot more. And if that threatens someone, they feel that I'm unprofessional, they feel that I'm too honest, I'm too raw, I'm not qualified, I'm not smart enough, too silly. Your opinion holds no currency. But I'm glad that power makes them feel good about themselves. Maybe they'll figure that out later. All of these people who have these curated opinions and expectations of you, they were never your audience to begin with. And it sucks that a lot of our life revolves around work. But at the end of the day, these people, they do not hold any real power. We'll talk about that later. If you're still listening to this and you feel called out, good, because me too. We've all performed. We've all edited ourselves down. Don't deny it. But now we get to choose a different way of being. So if you take anything away from this episode today, here's what I want to leave you with. You are allowed to be seen in every shade of your truth. You don't have to be palatable to be powerful. You can be multifaceted, and you don't have to dim your light to make other people comfortable. And being you is not a liability. It is freedom. It is liberation. So take that as you will. Thank you for being with me today. If this hit something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Let's all just stop performing and start being our true, authentic selves and shedding those performances. Because we're not here to impress anybody. We're here to express ourselves. Until next time, stay Black, stay queer, stay free, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.